this call.
And I didn't know I was on this call, so imagine my surprise, and imagine Dan's.
Yep, and I'm just here, so I wasn't expecting to go on for another half an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Because he knows Tank very well.
I think so.
I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with not just Tank, but also sometimes Lisa, and some other special guests.
Sharry Edwards is on. We have Sharry Edwards today, yes.
Oh, I couldn't quite tell how many people were online. Just Sharry Edwards, okay. All right. Okay.
Not just Sharry Edwards, Sharry Edwards.
Oh,
I
let me rephrase.
Magician of the, bringing down the Illuminati, the Illuminadonkeys, and the entire world lie that has been told to everyone. She's able to cipher through and discern the truth and tell us what their real intent is of what they're talking about. And today, for everyone's enjoyment, Sharry Edwards has kind of breaking news, right? She has that is share with us. Sharry, how are you tonight? Again.
I am great. We had a great conversation before the show, so I love it.
I do too, and I love when you come on. I'm always excited when you're here because I feel like you give us insight into like the cabal mind and also some good people as well. So, Sharry, where do you want to start?
With this chaos that's been happening for the last 4 or 5 days, and I just got tired of it. So many lies I could hear and spins and twisting the truth. So I started putting information together. Why do people lie? How can you tell if people lie? And what's going on? And then I went in and looked at the people, and there was something that was just astounding to me with all this impeachment stuff going on. I think this is a cutting edge announcement. If we'll just set it up just a little bit about liars try to keep you from people who know the truth, like them saying, don't allow Giuliani on TV. Now, that they're trying to keep something from you. They won't allow you to face your accuser. They won't allow this whistleblower to come out. And I don't even believe there is a whistleblower. I think they went out and found somebody to sort of fit the bill.
Wow.
Won't allow you, because they're not allowing him in those closed door meetings. They sidestep questions like Biden won't answer things. He just turn around and attacks Trump. They try to persuade others that you're wrong or crazy, and they're doing that about Trump, trying to get him out of office because he's crazy. They try to manipulate the facts. Look at what Adam Schiff did with that letter. He says it's a parody. So here's this letter that gives you nothing. So Adam Schiff goes on and reads a totally made up letter and tries to keep it in Congress. And it says totally different things. And he says, oh, this is really, really serious. But then he does a parody. Is it serious or not?
Well, I love the Adam Schiff thing, right? I mean, it'd be like me saying, can you imagine if this happened? And I say it really softly. Then I go into a ridiculous story. It's like, wait, what? What just happened here? Anybody would be upset by what he said. Matter of fact, if President Trump talked that way to anybody, I'd be like, that's really obnoxious. I'm only going to tell you 7 times in this conversation. Yeah, so very funny.
Just going another direction, I'd like to tell Adam Schiff, we have not been able to prove that your wife is not having an affair with the gardener.
We have not been able to prove it.
They just make up things to bring in a point that's totally untrue.
Nice turn of phrase too. I mean, you're right. Like you make a sentence like that, it's like, well, you're not really saying anything, are you? Right? You're just kind of, we can't prove a lot of things, I guess, if you're looking at it in that context, right?
Yeah, they're just slinging mud. They won't go after Biden or Leahy and Durbin, and they did the same thing. Look at the letters. It won't show the whistleblower. That makes me know there isn't one. And just attempts to change. Look at all of these news readers, because that's really what they are. They're all saying the same thing, the same words, the same phrases. So somebody is behind. Let's pass out these talking points. That's another thing that people do who are lying. Now, that's all on that Democrat Pelosi Schiff side. Tell me one thing that Trump's doing.
No, President Trump has been completely transparent.
Yes.
They challenged him on the whistleblower. He immediately provided the entire transcript of the conversation, which it's pretty unprecedented that he would even have to do that.
Well, he did it before the whistleblower thing came out, and I think that just took all the sail out of there.
I'd like to
point
point
out
out
what's going on.
I'd like to point out
But
that
all through
QAnon.
this, I was looking at Pelosi and Adam Schiff, and all along, I don't know if you can see this on your camera, but all along, both of them have been exhibiting this yellow in their vocal print. And it's in an octave that says control, control. Then on Friday and Saturday, I did them both. And this is the freaky thing. Every time you look at either one of them, they want intellectual control. And that means it's yellow, and that means that it's in the second octave up. Pelosi now is all blue. And it's all about ego and justice. And it's in an octave of naive fantasy. She's running scared. Something happened to affect her personally.
Well, they blew the whole thing out of the
Would
water.
it be possible? Oh, go ahead, Dan.
I said they threw the whole thing. Their whole plan went out the window as soon as he released the transcript, and he did it like the next day. I mean, almost how fast it was. It was planned. QAnon said that a year ago, define whistleblower, right? Because and when he says to define a word, he wants you to know what it really means because it's going to mean something later. Well, a whistleblower blows a whistle on something that is hidden. So if it's not hidden, you can't blow a whistle. So then and then they have a second whistleblower come out. Well, he's not a whistleblower anymore, is he? Because they had whistleblowers lined up. The next one and the next one. Oh, look how bad it is. But in reality, he diffused everything that they were about to do. Even the whole impeachment was all diffused, and they all look ridiculous.
Yes, and Adam Schiff looks even more ridiculous. Because here is his now. It was all yellow and all under control. Now he's scattered all over the place. He's scattered emotionally. Somebody got to these two people and scared them on an emotional level. They are weak. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's going on. This is the time to strike with these two because they are standing on quicksand. Not only the facts go against them, but somebody got to them both because they were so in control Tuesday and Wednesday. And now Thursday, Friday, and especially Saturday, they have fallen apart. And we need to get this information to somebody who can pounce. Now's the time. They're weak.
Well, interestingly, Sherry, there was a warning, an old warning, that was released privately. I would imagine I received it on Friday in the afternoon. So I would imagine that that was released to them probably Thursday. Probably why you sense that shift, because which is a great validation, to be honest, that it's real. Because a lot of things happened that October 2nd and October 3rd, right? Because the Marine Reserve was called in and told they're going to be deployed on U.S. soil. But that's not the only warning. It's also a top executive from Chase Bank was charged with 16 indictments and arrested finally, who was a major part of blocking funding for all types of things, to prevent the wealth of the world being returned to the people. So that's a pretty good confirmation that you're giving us. And back at you.
Well, they were hiding something for a bunch of people, and now they're running based on their own perceptions. The other thing that I did over the weekend was look at some of these famous people who are lying, just totally lying about what's really going down. Rachel Maddow is one. I know what's going on with Rachel Maddow. She and Trump have very similar vocal prints, except hers is in fantasy and his is in foundation. She knows she's lying. She's too much like Trump to get along with him, but in different ways.
Wow.
She was on The View last week as well as Chelsea and Hillary Clinton. So that was, I can barely watch them, but I watch them after hours just to get what's going on. But she's not very, they like bow down to her. Why is that, do you think?
Because she has put herself in a position to be important and making decisions about someone's life. Look at that Gutsy Woman book she did. She's in a position to choose who's going to be in it. So I have power. And since I'm judging gutsy women, I am more than gutsy. I am rage and power and whatever other nasty word.
She just wants to eat their guts, but
Wow.
I think they misprinted the book. They got the title backwards.
So was that the Gutsy Woman book where Hillary Clinton said it takes a lot of guts to allow your 4-year-old to be a transgender?
Yes, so she was being interviewed, her and her daughter were being interviewed, and they asked her what's the most gutsy thing she's done, and she said staying married to Bill Clinton. And then she continued, and she brought it up. Nobody else did. But she thinks it's very gutsy for parents to speak up when their children want to be transgender. That's a very gutsy thing for parents to do in the world.
How would a child know? I read one account of a 4-year-old. How would a 4-year-old know?
They wouldn't know. It's ridiculous, and it's an absolute perversion of human nature. A child is a child. They don't even have any real sexual identity until they start to hit puberty, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're actually authorizing this. They're making insurance companies pay for gender reassignment as early as age 11, I believe. So you can imagine how absolutely insane that is, that you would ever allow someone to butcher your child that way. I mean, it's just...
Well, the only thing that would feed to that, Tank, is I think we talked about it on a prior show, and Michelle Walker just verified it last week, is they are putting in vaccinations, mixed up hormones, so the kids are feeling confused. They're not sure,
right.
They're feeling like the boy versus the girl, and that's intentional. They are putting that, I'll have to pull up the name of it, the actual product of putting in vaccines, so it does make children feel confused about if they're a boy or a girl.
And actually, they identified a full fetal genome of a child from what, 1960?
1966 of the male, male child, I think.
And infected with cancer. Intentionally.
Yes. So I think that's intentional on their part. And then, of course, the little boy says, well, I think I'm a girl, or vice versa. And so, they're getting the parents to act on it. And I think they're even getting like federal funds for people that are on assisted medical stuff. They're forced to having to do sex changes on these kids, which is outrageous, in my opinion. But
if a kid wants to live the opposite gender, let them, but don't do anything that really is irreversible until they get old enough to make a decision, an informed decision. But that's only my opinion.
No, that's not
it's
only your
great
opinion.
I think I think we're, and actually there was an article, I'll have to pull it up. There was an article last week where a lot of people that have been transgendered, through a sex change, actually are wanting to reverse it now. So imagine that. Imagine having all the genitals changed.
And there's actually a whole stage, much in the way that people who try to kill themselves, it's like 98% of them immediately regret it, right? And that's reported from everyone who survives a suicide attempt, much in the same way. When people do gender reassignment, they feel the exact same way. The rates of depression and suicide are rampant, and it's not because they're being harassed. It's rampant because they're not comfortable with the decision they made.
Ah, interesting.
Even as adults, so think what a 13-year-old's going to think.
Well, and the transgender lifespan is about 35 years old, which is another reason why they're doing it. So the average lifespan of someone who has sexual reassignment is 35 years old.
Why?
Good grief.
Really?
Why?
Yeah, nobody's talking about that.
But why?
Now, that's taken from kind of a selective study, but I would say that's probably fairly accurate. How often do you see a 60-year-old drag queen? Not much, right?
Yeah. Why is it that they have a lesser lifespan? Are they committing suicide, or what's the reason why their life is cut short?
Suicide was one of the top causes of death. I think there was some other they would get involved with perverted sexual activity, and become very promiscuous in some places, and end up with different sexually transmitted diseases that led to death. And then there's, I believe some of them were actually, hurt and killed, right? Mm-hmm. But there's another. I think I'm certain that it has something to do with the health, but I don't remember listing that in the article. So there's more to it. But I mean that statistic I remember, because I was shocked, was that low.
Well, you could consider too, like a heart transplant, where they have to take rejection meds all the time. Mm-hmm. That shortens the lifetime.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It keep your body confused all the time with the artificial hormones. I would think that would shorten your life.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's a rough lifestyle too, on top of everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's a nightmare. But something else that world, just a side note, is as far as some of the incredible technology that they're holding back, because of preventing funding, and all of this blood lies on the heads of this whole group, right? The Kamala Harrises and the Cory Bookers and Pelosi and Schiffs and all the rest of the clans worldwide who are part of this to prevent humanity from thriving. In our pipeline, we actually have technology that's able to take an organ, that's from someone who passes away, that's healthy, able to wash away using a patented method, able to wash away all of the DNA from the previous owner of that organ, able to infuse it with stem cells and revitalize it as if it is your organ, and do a transplant regardless of your blood. It doesn't matter, blood type, anything else. Put it right back in your body, and it won't even have scar tissue develop on the inside, which is one of the major problems, because the stem cells will actually repair it and just assimilate it to your body. And that's being held back because of these people.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I have a comment and a question. As opposed to Maddow, I did Hannity, What do you think Sean Hannity's stuff came up?
Strong,
He's
confident,
telling the truth,
truth.
and he's holding back at the same time.
He's very interested in justice for the people. That's his main thing, justice.
Yes, sir.
Justice.
Now,
I like that.
knowing what you know now about Schiff and Pelosi running scared, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, what I think is going to happen is, in addition to the inevitable running them out of office, I think that they'll probably willingly step down in a blaze of glory and say, we're not in the government anymore where we can make a difference, and they'll make it seem like they're martyrs, and they'll try to step down at some point.
Or they'll get really sick.
Really sick. I think
Like
we could
they'll
very
get
likely.
cancer, or they
Right.
gotta quit for medical reasons or something.
Their vocal
Schiff
print,
looks healthy though.
their vocal print indicates that they know they are expendable, and if this goes south, they'll both be expendable.
Now, you know what, Sherry? This is something we were talking about the other night. Maxine Waters, right? She came out and she said President Trump is putting our lives at risk. Right?
Their
Putting all our
lives.
lives in danger.
He's gonna get us killed.
It's their lives.
Oh yeah, he said President Trump is going to get us killed, and I think she was being literal.
Yes.
That she was referring to her and others who are not able to bring down President Trump. They're not able to stop it, so their lives are at risk. They're going to get killed. Yeah, or, that would be an interesting turn of events, right? If that happened.
They can't control him. He's not part of that package where you go in and grab a bunch of money from the government and waltz off rich. They can't control him because he won't cooperate.
That's right. I love what Joe Biden says. I mean that in the sense that I hate it. He's always referring to President Trump. He said President Trump refuses to go along with presidential norms.
Right.
Well, what are the presidential norms? The presidential norms is where
Sell out your country.
Yeah, sell out your country. Pretend that you're doing great things. Give great speeches, but never actually do anything. President Trump's constantly doing. He's constantly overcoming obstacles. He's actually fighting for the people, not just talking about it. He doesn't bow down to the order.
Or stealing money. Stealing money from the people, right?
Where they have gone from being worth a couple $1 million to hundreds of millions of dollars by the time they leave office. President Trump has lost money, right?
Right.
That's a big difference.
He started out richer than he is. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Tell me why we're giving billions of dollars to.
Hello? 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 Let's see, are we still broadcasting? We are still broadcasting, but I've lost their connection. I do not hear anyone. Well, that was quite interesting, wasn't it? I'm going to...
You know what? I think Sherry just solved the entire issue. I mean, how simple is that? We gave away hundreds of millions of dollars, right, to support Planned Parenthood in Africa. And you know what they did? Because everyone's worried about, the overpopulation in Africa, because the real white supremacist attitude is not from, regular white people that we would think. It's from this group that is just supremacist over everyone. And so they did this, and then Planned Parenthood was outed for taking their own volunteers, the people that were freely working there, who believed in the cause, that they were doing good, and they took those volunteers and they offered them up to the other executives and ambassadors that were there as, like sexual offerings. Like they showed up at the doors, to have sex with them.
Yeah,
they trafficked
that's
their own
so
people.
nice for Planned Parenthood. Yeah, just that we
Yeah.
need to fund. Well, I think we should do
Tough
Carrie
enough.
Edwards for president after Trump.
No way.
Yeah.
Only a fool would run for president. I can't run.
I'm with you on that. I couldn't.
President Tank.
I
Do
talked
hear
about this
President
on
Tank?
another show a couple days ago, Friday night, I think. And this morning it's out in the news about we're looking at President Pelosi. Get rid of Trump, get rid of Pence, put Pelosi in. She steps down. She's put Hillary as her vice president, and we have Hillary again for president. What do you think?
Well, they already had that as part of the plan. They even floated that balloon for Pelosi to come on one of these women shows. It wasn't The View, but they came out and they said, you know, it was like someone from the government, from maybe probably Congress, and supporting Pelosi, and she says, well, we have talking about a deal in the background where Vice President Pence would step down, right, and then Pelosi would then come in, right, as vice president, and then Trump would then be removed. Something like that. So they're just floating strange ideas about how to put Pelosi up there. I know. How can it be?
Now you know why Nancy Pelosi is scared, right? Because Nancy Pelosi, she took the place of George H.W. Bush as head of the Black Dragon family, right? Which is the dragon families of the West. There's dragon families all over the world that, you know, the higher, and this is just spoken about, by the way, because this in the Ukraine, it was stated outright. This one, the guy who got actually put in jail for putting out these black papers on Manafort, and the reason why he did it, this other guy who was also involved, he admits in a private conversation with his family, right, that was recorded. And he says that Hillary Clinton, he says, well, for us, the Ukraine, Hillary Clinton is part of the hegemony,
yeah,
for the greater political control of the world, right? So for us, it's better for her. But for the people of America, it's better for President Trump to be the president.
Right. That's what
but
he
I mean, that's the first time I've seen anything like that indicates there even is a higher hegemony in the world, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking the president that's for the people of America might be the best choice. I'm really thinking that's where we should go with that.
You know, I actually responded to Hillary Clinton today. When she said something stupid about, you know, President Trump being our president should be for the American people. So I responded to her with that article plastered, and I quoted exactly what the article said. Because it's so funny to me. It's like, if you want to know what they're doing, just look and see what they accuse someone else of doing.
Right.
Exactly. Right. Agreed.
And I found during the years the lies that get told again and again and again. And one of the early Pelosi's is she thinks if she says it, somebody ought to make it true.
That's very true. You know, so this is what happened, Sherry, as the Black Dragon, right? She was part of this big plot. And in this big plot, what happened was they uncovered.
Hello. That looks like again. What is happening? It says recording. And then it reboots.
To do the most damage possible. He was loaded up with all types of, you know, explosives, and at first he was going to go to the White House, but then Pelosi scheduled the State of the Union address to be while she was gone, right? So she was going to be gone, and he was going to bomb the Capitol building, right? This suicide bombing of the Capitol building, and this is part of what sank her, because when that happened.
Tank, I hate to interrupt you, but this is a second time we've been knocked off of YouTube, or what's happened is the Zoom software just shuts down. It's happened twice. It logs back in, but I miss what you're saying, and it's each time it was something important, like discussing discussing this again. So why don't we go over, Pelosi being the black dragon from Bush? That's where it cut out at, and I just got back on.
Okay, all right. So here, I'll repeat it. So Nancy Pelosi, after George H.W. Bush, died, she was appointed to be the Black Dragon, right? Now, the Black Dragons are the dragon families of the West, made up of Americans, like a combination of American, Italian, Chinese group, right? And that's the Black Dragons here in the western part of the world. Now, as the Black Dragon, her job, the first thing she had to do was she had to bring down President Trump. So she planned a trip to go to Afghanistan to visit the NATO forces. Now, the NATO military is the Rothschild military. This is the United Nations military, right? So they are a group of mercenaries under their control, and they are massive, right? And she went there to visit them. Now, here's why. Because it was a big honor that she became the Black Dragon. So she was taking 96 members of her family there, right? Probably to celebrate, her whatever ritual they were going to do. But also because she knew that things were going to get crazy back here in the U.S. because there was a suicide bomber who was set, and he was going to bomb the White House. He wanted to do as much damage and hurt as many people as possible. And it appears that he was being helped. Now, there's an FBI file on this, right? There's sworn affidavits to back this up. This really happened. It's absolutely confirmed. And they were going to load up the car with all types of explosives. And it would have done a tremendous amount of damage, right? And so what happened was she scheduled the State of the Union address to be at the Capitol building while she was gone. So President Trump was supposed to get up and speak, and then this suicide bomber was going to come in and blow up everybody who was there left over in Congress, right? So,
including Pence,
remember,
so the vice president and the president, right?
Right.
Would be
Exactly.
gone. It would automatically make her.
So the vice president, right? So the vice president and the president would be gone, but also her cohorts, right? Others who were on her side in Congress, and so that's when some of them turned on her, right? Because she planned all of them to be killed. Now, once they found that out, they're like, wait a minute, you're going to kill us too?
You planned our suicide?
Like, don't you remember our baby sacrifice? We did that together. I thought we were there. So this was their plan, right? So she was going, and she had this whole thing planned. And what would have happened is she would have gone to Afghanistan. This would have been blown up. She would have been made the president on the spot in a foreign country. And then she would have had to make a split decision. Because think of all the military that are there, right? Think of the chaos that would have ensued when you had a strike like that happen here in the U.S. So she would have brought in the United Nations military, and they would have taken over. Yeah. And then once they took over, they would have just started saying that the United States is under attack, and you could have justified anything. You could have been
Russia did it. Yeah, you could have said Russia did it, right? Anybody did it.
Right. You would have had entire armed forces crawl up out of the ground in these secret military bases, right? And come out as ISIS or Jihad or Hamas or whoever, whatever they want to be, or genies, it doesn't matter. They would have brought them out of woodworks, and the whole country would have been in a state of panic and fear, right? And like, we're under attack, and literally people would have been coming up out of the earth, right? Because there's a whole infrastructure of things that exist in the tunnels here in the United States, right? That Jesse the Body Ventura, who was governor of the professional wrestler, but also the governor of Minnesota for a while. I mean, he discovered these tunnels and confirmed them, like a whole highway system that exists, right? This is how they're tracking weapons. It's not so they can't attack, right? It's the reason why you have these things happen where there's explosions happening. No one knows where they're coming from in New Jersey, but they all hear the noise. It's terrifying because these bases have been taken out, right? They've been getting eliminated. But the reality is that's what Nancy Pelosi was supposed to do. Now, in the order, they're ruled by draconian law. The punishment for failing in draconian law is brutal. It's death or torture or whatever, right? So you can imagine how terrified they are because you spent an entire lifetime doing ruthless things because those ruthless things are rewarded in the order. But when you fail, those ruthless things happen to you. And they've operated for years with no karmic consequences. And all of those karmic consequences are coming back into play right now. And so you're now seeing this whole thing unfold. So you can imagine the threats against her are very real.
Right.
And everything they're doing is out of absolute desperation. But the problem is, even they know they don't have a shot.
Yeah.
That's why they're getting more and more desperate.
Yes.
Yeah, because they don't have a way out. And to be honest, even death isn't a way out because
Their families.
You know,
that they have to leave their families behind. They're probably being threatened.
Remember,
or
they don't
potentially-
care. They don't care about that. They've removed their.
They really don't care about their kids and grandkids.
Well, that's why
No.
they're trained. You know, how do you become the Black Dragon? Because you care about your family? I don't know.
Not so much.
yeah.
Yeah, probably not so
Yeah.
much, I guess.
I mean, probably as assets more than anything.
Yeah, assets. Yeah, you don't want to lose your assets. But Pelosi obviously is, was made the Black Dragon. Now what? So it's blood for blood. So she's look what happened to George W. Bush. He was George H.W. Bush. He was also killed, right? Because he wasn't successful. Right? His whole plan was falling apart. So he was dead, and what happened there? You had the envelopes go out, and everyone else was put on notice. So Pelosi, and Schiff, they should be frightened. I mean, they are obviously the two most powerful in the House. That they've been running things. That's why Pelosi was putting the impeachment out, not under judicial. She moved it under Adam Schiff to carry the ball. And he's the one that also wrote the whistleblower report and had his staff help and met with the whistleblower and orchestrated it, right? And everything they've been doing is now being exposed as them being responsible. And they're at the top. And so what's going to happen? They're both going to end up dead. I mean, is it going to be very, difficult to see that Nancy Pelosi just died of old age? She's already in her 80s, so if she just
looks like she's already been dead at old age
Well,
for a little bit. Well, in my opinion.
And then look at Maxine Waters, right? You see the same desperation and fear,
Yeah.
the angry, visceral comments constantly on top of their just gross lifestyle of just nasty evil dripping off of them every time they talk. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen people who are so miserable about doing something that they claim to be such a righteous cause. Because you know what? I'll tell you, in the fight to do the right thing, to be in a position where you can make a difference, you know what? Even if the enemy feels like it's impossible to overcome, there's a sense of integrity about what you're doing. There's a command, a certain amount of authority you have. I mean, even at this level, I feel that way. And I mean, and the enemy, you look at it and say it's impossible. But being the Speaker of the House, if you were really dedicated to making a difference in people's lives, if you were really committed and believed the things you were saying, it would be obvious to everyone. You're in such a powerful position. People will just they will rise to the occasion to support what you're saying, because the integrity of your words would ring out.
So I have a question. What she's doing, is it possible? And I think you and I talked about this last week, Tank. Is it possible that she's all?
Hello. We got knocked off again. Hello. It looks like we're off again. I have to let it restart. There it goes, restarting.
Additional drug problem. And Maxine Waters just shows up as a nutball.
That's a designation. That's amazing.
Well,
It's a Sherry Edwards one.
I'm sorry, I came into this. I got dropped again. It looks like this Zoom keeps. It's the third time it dropped. So Lisa was talking about something, and now Sherry said something fantastic. So,
Sorry, Dan, we cannot repeat it. It was private.
Oh, no.
If you didn't hear it first time, you lost. I'm sorry.
Well, not just me; it's everyone else. But no one else
About
gets there.
Pelosi looking unhealthy.
Okay.
And
Well, no,
when
I said she looked ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous in her antics. Is it possible that she's already been arrested potentially, and maybe Trump's just got her out there making him look even more stupid and helping him bring down the order? Is that possible?
Well, Trump's information says it's very foundational. He's telling the truth, but he's withholding information.
Boy, has to.
Yeah.
He's the president. Yeah.
He always has something up his sleeve to count, like a chess game, to counter the next thing that's going on. But I think maybe I have a little bit of a solution to people not getting the truth and all of these lies on radio shows and stuff. If people could look at not what they're being told, but why they're being told it. Why?
The motivation.
Manipulating. So don't look at what they're telling you, but try to look behind what they're telling you. Maxine Waters. Trump should be locked up in solitary confinement. Is she somebody who supports the Constitution? No. Why is she saying that? She needs some kind of accolade? If she really believes that, she's the one that belongs in an institution. Because she is. Pardon?
What has he done? What has he done to require not just imprisonment, but imprisonment to the extent of, a bad prisoner even? I mean, that's what she's, that's a pretty aggressive statement to make. Like, who are you to say that about anybody? That's terrible.
I don't think a sane person would say it.
Well, what is the official designation you said that Maxine Waters is? She's what?
A goofball. A nutball.
A nutball. That's the official diagnostic from Sherry Edwards.
Yeah.
She's scattered all over the place. Nothing hangs together. She's just coming out of nowhere to spout off. And if you really pushed her, she would fall apart.
Well, I totally agree.
Or hit you.
You know what's going to happen next?
Yeah,
The next piece is going to be when the first big name really turns, right? They're all going to have a race to see who can sell out the other one first.
Yes.
And it's going to be the worst debacle in history. It's going to be like the women on The View are all going to ignite simultaneously and combust into flames for the shameful way they have acted. The View is like The View from hell. It's going to be awful. I mean,
I've often thought about that show and how they would react when they're all outed or whatever. Because I think that actually Sherry, go ahead, Dan, but I think Sherry had some information about one of the View members. So.
Well, I was just going to say that I don't think it's going to be just a race to turn the other ones in. I think it's going to be a race out of the country. I think they're going to scramble because they're going to fear for their not just their lives, but being in prison, put through trial, humiliation, standing around while everyone else around them is dropping. I don't see them being that brave. I think they're going to run.
They're cowards. Or get sick and die. So fake death. Fake death.
Fake deaths. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me information that Pelosi's son was also on the plane with Biden and Biden Jr., or whatever his name is, James.
yes, that's true. That's correct. Yeah.
So she has something to protect.
And I think also Kerry's son also.
I heard it was also Mitt Romney.
Wow.
I heard it was.
Yeah.
I actually have a meme. It was Mitt Romney, which he's a Republican, right? Is
Yeah.
why he's kind of speaking out against Trump. Is Mitt Romney's son was part of it,
Looks
in
like
addition
all
to
of them are.
Pelosi's. Yeah.
Well, listen, it was $3.6 billion missing from that oil company. 3.6 billion. So they're not talking about that, right? They're only talking about Biden, talking about firing but after that, it's 1.8 billion was moved into this bank that's there, and this was for this is all under Obama, right? And then this is for restructuring the country and all this kind of stuff. And then, like 2 years later, again, same amount of money, 1.8 billion, goes into the country. And again, where is it? It also ends up missing. So why are they not talking about the $3.6 billion that is missing? Where is it? Well, we got all these sons of everyone on a plane. These sons on the plane are all now headed there and doing what? They're picking up money. All right?
The juniors, yeah.
Way to rape the people of America.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We struggle to pay taxes as it is, and they're just up there giving away. No wonder they want socialism. They want to be able to give it to themselves.
Yeah.
You were mentioning Joy Behar.
Yeah, I think you had something on her. She's not my favorite person.
Well, her vocal print indicates that she's an actor. It's all fake. She's just doing it to get through the day. Because there's a lack of involved emotions. There's a lack on how to relate to everyday people. There's a lack of justice. She's not interested. She has a right brain intellectual approach. Now that seems weird. Right brain, but it's intellectual. It's like her brain dominance is kind of mixed up. Likes to be in control and could be manipulated into controlling others with her actions. It's all an act. Her whole system is an act. So we will, on Sundays, let people know there are just drafts or just pieces of what we see. Usually we write a little story, but I think there's so many of these. I have 50 or so sitting here. And we need to get this out to the people and teach them how to use these same softwares that I'm using, and we're doing a class for them. We'll get them the software. Somehow we'll get people a way to look at these solutions for themselves, not just take my word for it. So that's my rose-colored wish for the world.
Sharry, I think we need to set up a page for you on the Speak Project where we can make these things available, and then whenever you have your class, we can update it there. That'll bring
wonderful.
Yeah, that way people can really look at this and see the value in it, and see when you're talking about it, because this stuff really it's really valuable, right? Especially in a time. I saw this tweet the other day, and it said, in a time of lying politicians, people will gravitate towards the one that tells the truth. Now, I believe that to be true as well, and I'm always thinking about that and the things that we put out, right? However we put it out, I think the most important part is what I always say is be the truth speaking, right? And try to set that tone for everybody else.
It's easier.
Yeah.
It's very much easier, and I want to make a prediction.
Aha! Yes, Sharry's prediction. This gets better all the time. Sharry, blast. Go ahead.
It's not a big prediction. If they succeed, if they are able to do impeachment, we will have civil war, and that may be what they're looking for.
Maybe that's why the military's been called out.
Yep.
Sharry, I really, Lisa, can you please make sure we send the last night's show from the front lines over to Sharry?
Yes, absolutely.
Because
we'll do that right now.
I made that same prediction last night, Sharry.
Wow.
I was breaking this down. And Sharry, it's okay if you really watched the show last night
I did.
I'm just kidding. So, but no.
I can't get on. It says sign in, and I can't get on.
Oh, I got you. So, but yeah, I was talking about this. I used to get a lot of information from several different areas of the military, from some of the top generals at the Pentagon and some of the white hats who were commanders on the ground. And as operations were happening, I would often have information right away and be able to put it out. I'd be able to report on it right after things happened. And I remember that they were all guarding and taking orders from the Chinese elders. And they also believed that we were about to be taken over by the Chinese, but they were going to keep it under wraps and keep the illusion that we were a free country. Now, this really was the plan. But in fact, the Chinese elders had basically, taken the contract to build the military equipment and they built it with a loan they took out from the People's Bank of China. Then they leased the equipment back to the United States, right, based on the contract the United States was paying for them, and paid the salaries to the military, right? They were paying their salaries for years. And that's how they kind of had this influence with the military. So it wasn't. So I guess maybe they just didn't realize, like, wait, are we being taken over? It just didn't occur to people, I guess, because I guess alliances are being made all the time. So what I do believe is happening now, and I know this actually, is that although I'm sure there's many still corrupt within, but the Pentagon finally has kind of come over to our side and realized, wow, the currency revaluation, this big event that everyone was waiting for to become rich, particularly the military, because they had spent time in Iraq and they had tons of Iraqi dinar, thought it was going to revalue and they'd be very wealthy, right? They'd be the Jesuits, gods of this world and stuff. So what happened is they finally realized that they didn't, the Rothschilds were no longer in control. The Chinese elders didn't have access to the money they sent. All these secret heritage funds and White Spirit Boy Trust and Dragon Family Trust, they didn't have access anymore. And the way that they found out, Sherry, you'll love this. They were planning the assassination, right? And they put a contract out on the trustee for the primary for the head central bank, which is listed down in the system as the central bank, or the trust that holds the accounts for the Federal Reserve and everybody else. So they were planning it, right? And they have to enter it into the system to get the money for the contract. And when they entered it into the system, it was Kim who responded to them. By saying, like, you think I'm going to fund a contract on my own life? Are you crazy?
I didn't know that. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Now, so it's just funny because that's one of the ways they found out. They've been working with her ever since, by the way. So I mean, she's obviously bigger than they are. I mean, to have that kind of maturity, right?
It shows we used to be a civil country. Civility is gone, and I don't know how the hell bring it back.
Well, I think kicking ass and taking some names, Sherry, is mainly what we got to do.
That's it.
I'm sorry. I just said that. But Sherry, I think you know what, we do have many plans in place, but what I believe fervently in my heart, the way to do this is that we have to come back and begin a full frontal attack to make sure that they are responding to us versus us reacting desperately to them. And that is what's happening now. We are moving all over the nation. We have these groups that are dedicated to natural law, common law, universal law, but really constitutional law. And that's where I got to keep it, actually, is there's groups who are experts in constitutional law that are resurging and revitalizing that movement all over the country. Grand juries, having been voted back into force in every county in the country. And we are actively encouraging people to take part. Go to the nationallibertyalliance.org and go to that website. And we're going to have some pages up soon to give instructions. Go there and become a member. Sign up to be a, an administrator, to be a committee man. all of these different positions. Go get involved. This is what our government is supposed to be, a government that draws its power from the governed, not a government that devours the governed, and forces them to do what they say, right? It's the opposite. And that's really what makes President Trump, our president, right? He is a president that is for the people, and everything I've seen from him, not to say he's perfect, we don't need perfect. What I need is somebody that when the going gets tough, he still says the same thing. He's still advocating for us. So sure, I think we're doing it. I think the law part is part of it, and I think, actually getting people to break free from the vaccines, the damaging long-term effects the vaccines had on this generation and others, and also the damaging effects of fluoride. We need to have legal action taken to get injunctions on these things immediately. If there's anyone out there, right, environmental lawyers or somebody who's always wanted to tackle that problem, one of these eco-terrorists who thinks that they're fighting for the environment, but they're really fighting to turn the whole world into a transhuman planet of very few people. Anybody who wants to actually fight for what's right, and you want real facts, you got them. So I think, Sherry, what you always talk about, justice depends on the truth.
Yes, and we have the advantage. Your people listening to this have an advantage because they can see who's not telling the truth. And that's the pivot. People are being so messed with their mind, they don't know who or what to believe, and that renders them inept to do anything. So by knowing what that other side is doing, all of your people will have an advantage about what is the truth.
That's right. Sherry Edwards, folks. She is arming people with the truth, or as I like to call her, the truth speaking. So she's one of the good guys. Sherry, thank you so much. I love when you come on. Please come on whenever you want. Any show we're doing, come on and chime in. Because I feel like you always have something good to say, and your perspective is very valued by all of us. And I promise you, I'm doing my best to make sure that we're actually putting those things that you teach us to work. And all the time.
Sherry, did we get through all your reports that you wanted to share?
Well, Clapper is the only one left, and in his case, he's only telling half the truth, so don't believe anything he says.
Okay.
That's a pretty good report. I feel like I can apply that to almost all of Congress.
Well, Sherry, I want to let you know, I figured out a long time ago how to tell that they're lying. They're talking.
Their mouth.
Yeah, they're moving their mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what's funny, actually, Sherry, that you said Joy Behar, she's an actor.
Yeah.
And she's a bad actor, right? Then that's actually the truth, right? Now, we would usually say, well, the bad actors are like the people that are doing bad things, but actually, they're just actors that aren't that good at it, right? Like, they're just not that good, so they're, like a low-level part. So, in Joy Behar's role she's playing in life, right? She is this, talk show host / comedian, who's really against, life, I guess, against Trump and against,
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're all playing from the same deck because they're all using the same words. So when you find those that are using the same words, cross them off your list of they're the people not to pay attention to and start looking at why they're telling you these things. We'll find the truth there.
You know what? It's so interesting. They're obviously very desperately fighting for their life. And it's very transparent at this point to anyone out there, particularly, all that whole group there in the order. Because I know some of them, somewhere in there, somebody gets these clips, I'm sure, and they try to pretend like they're not watching, but I know they are. And, and one of the things I know, this is what it's like for them, right? They sit around and they don't have a director anymore. They don't have a master planner. They don't have a writer anymore who's telling them what they should think. And because they don't have this, they don't have a master plan that makes them the dominant force in the universe, right? They have just become exactly what they've always been, fraudulent bad actors with no real connection to their conscience. That your conscience should provide you with some kind of pain, some kind of prick when you do something wrong, right? When you're pricked by your conscience, when you feel bad, when you do something bad, right?
Right.
But if you do enough bad things, after a while it doesn't even bother you anymore. It just becomes part of who you are. And so you can imagine they're so used to that working in their favor, being rewarded for bad behavior, that, from that standpoint, I don't think many of them had a choice. I think they were raised that way and, taught to believe that they're better than everybody else. And so from that standpoint, I have compassion. But I have much more compassion on everyone who suffered at their hand. So
I have a interest in another report. If Sharry could let me know, maybe she's already done it. What's the report on Tank?
Yeah,
It's so dark, we can't even expose it.
Tank's a fraud.
Hank asked me not to share anything.
Oh,
Share
okay.
whatever you want. Oh, that's not true. I didn't know.
Oh,
He did
He didn't.
not. She's teasing.
I just don't like to jump into people I know and care about without their permission.
Well, thank you for not outing me here in public. I appreciate that.
But I got it. I got a blackmail Tank now.
oh.
I'm kidding.
But I will say, you know what? I am an open book, and I'm okay with Sharry coming on. We can do that the next show. Sharry can go through and analyze everything about my vocal imprint, good and bad, by the way, because the good is where I'm focused. But you know what? The bad might make me better.
Well, do
me.
me too.
I did yours, Dan.
Oh, you did mine? Oh my goodness! Don't tell anybody. Shh. No,
Okay.
no, don't tell her. No, I want you to. Go ahead.
I sent it to Tank. He can.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's right.
Oh, my.
I didn't even know.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Sharry is. Listen,
I got to pull up a drum roll.
She's stealthy. You got to watch her. She's doing all types of stuff going on, man.
Well,
Like you're slick, didn't you, Dan?
Dan was so open it just fell out.
Oh, great. That means I'm the dick.
So they mean I had no bars? Is that what it means?
No, it was so obvious from your speech that you have allergies. That's what I was picking up.
I have an allergy to the cabal. That's true. I have a wonderful allergy that I really enjoy. It's to caffeine, and so when I get to a certain amount of caffeine, I start sneezing, and I really like that because then I can blow my nose and it feels good.
I have an allergy to average, so I can't stand people that are focused so much on being average. So.
Hank's stuff is liver. You can tell that by his voice. But I haven't done anything deep on either of you.
Okay, well let's make that a show. Let's make
it
that.
Was her arm, her forearm and wrist.
Hi guys, this is Jason. How you doing? Great show. Shirley, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
Cool, man.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, just to make you're doing investigations, Shirley. I'm an unknown person in this country. I did a little background on me. I was called a sovereign citizen. I fought the government for two months, and when I did a Freedom of Information Act, they came back. There was nothing on me. Even with my court case of 15368, there was nothing on me. It's just very interesting how it disappeared. Oh, that's right. I became an American national. I declared my citizenship void.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, he fell off.
Oh, I guess we lost Jack. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure he'll. Anyways,
well, we're probably good for today, but it would be a great show to have the reports on, or the in-depth ones on Tank and Dan and Lisa.
Oh, I don't know if I authorize that.
No, yeah, look. leave my partner alone, man.
Tank likes to keep me off the radar.
Okay, all right, that's fine. This somewhat, just somewhat, Lisa.
Dan, you and I have been hanging out here with our pants down for a long time.
Yeah.
We like to keep Lisa's up a little.
Let's keep sometimes Lisa just the way she is.
Okay, no problem, no problem, no problem. So,
You guys can go online at the Sound Health portal and have your voice done. They'll give it to you right there. You
I actually did mine, Sharry, after your first show, and I shared it with the team. I don't know if Tank ever read it, but I shared it with our core team.
how do we get there? What was it called?
Sound Health portal. And it's an online public workstation that we set up so that people can take their own voice and see what that means.
So soundhealthportal.com.
Yes?
Okay.
Everything's flipping out on my computer. What is?
Well, that's we went to share screens. Someone is putting up something. Who's drawing? Was that you, Tank?
I was trying to put her thing up there, but I don't have a text option. So it wasn't as cool as it would have been cool, but it didn't work out.
It says online training, power of the portal, and check out Nano Voice. Is it the check out Nano Voice?
Yes, right on the front page.
I got
You
it.
can talk to it for like.
Dan, I think you should do it live, on air.
I'm okay to do that. Okay, let me share my.
I think it takes a while, though, for results. How long does it take, Sharry?
2 or 3 minutes. It depends on how fast and how loud you talk.
Okay.
But you got to do it right the first time, right, Sherry? Because I messed it up and then I didn't get it.
You can repeat it and start over if you want.
Try to. All right, next time. I'm doing this as soon as we get off the phone. Because I tried to do mine the first time, but it didn't work out. They kept blocking.
Well, I also sent both of you how to send us a local print because there's only like 6 choices there.
You know, I think we should do Dan and Tank's live on air tomorrow night. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah,
That'd be kind of fun.
well, I'm showing it right now. It is showing, but it did not start. I didn't press
That'd
the
be
button.
fun, Tank, right?
I have a show tomorrow night.
Well, no, I'm saying if we did it on their show, where they just did it on air and then looked up the results and posted them on their share screen with the world.
Or I can press it right
or
now.
their pants down.
I can press it right now while Lisa's talking, and then grab her.
Go ahead.
No, no, I'm just joking around.
Then you'll get her stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, she's with me. Sherry's on my side. Okay, good.
Active campaign.
Sharry, you said I have a hurt arm or something. Is that what you said about me?
I think it was a female on a show that had a broken wrist, and I didn't remember if that was you or not.
Well, I had a broken wrist as a child.
No, this was like recent.
Oh no, it wasn't me.
Okay, another show.
Yeah.
These are all the different things that come up as campaigns.
So what is a campaign? This is just an active movement that you are, putting out there that people can go into and get information. They can sign up for courses and things like that, right?
Yeah, here's a campaign on nutrition. Here's one on PTSD. Here's one on muscles and one
So
on
lipoedema is like when the your fat cells fill up with water, and like
the fat gets into the cell, but it can't get out, and it deals with ghrelin and adiponectin and whatever is going on with your body. It'll tell you.
Yeah, that's a great one too, because that really weakens your body because it puts a lot of added pressure in places. And yeah, that's a good one to check out. This is really amazing stuff. Amazing.
Kim Kardashian has the gene for this.
Really?
So watch as she gets older. We have over 250, if not more, databases that once you sign up, and you can sign up as an apprentice and it's free, but you can go in and look at these other things.
Well, I'm pretty sure that beets, if you eat enough beets, it will fix it. Because according to Robert Vaughn, Beats will pretty much
Yes.
cure anything.
I
So-
talked to him again today, and I'm talking to him again tomorrow afternoon, and he's coming on next week as well. Yeah, I guess beets regenerate all your DNA.
Wow.
It's because
I
of
I
the
love
nitric,
beets. I
it's
love beets.
because of the nitric oxide in beets.
Wow.
Well, it's
Well,
time to have some
Yeah.
more beets. So,
listen, Lisa and I, our whole team, like we're on this Robert Vaughn challenge, or well, whatever we're calling it. Right?
Cleanse, yeah, it's amazing.
But it started with the Tank and Lisa challenge originally, right? We were going head to head to see who could get the best results. But yeah, I mean, it's basically like you're eating beets with every meal, like raw beets or juiced beets, right? And then like
Blended. Mm-hmm.
a bunch of other vegetables. And we're gonna do that on the page as well. On the Speak Project, have a page for Robert Vaughn so people can
Yep.
see his protocols and that stuff. And I apologize, I keep talking about these things. And the Speak Project, although I started the Speak Project, it's the one website we have that I don't actually access or edit personally. so whenever I talk, usually when I say this is because I can go right in and do it. But so I gotta talk to Vera tomorrow and work that out. Anyways,
Yeah.
but I promise we'll have it up there very soon.
Okay.
So
yeah.
everybody, that's a wrap. Dan,
yep.
thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.
And,
Thank you, Sharry. It was wonderful. And yeah, let's do an analyze me and Tank and see how
Tomorrow night,
we're
live
doing
on
tomorrow.
air.
Okay.
that's gonna be so fun.
Oh no, she's busy.
Love
She's
it.
busy tomorrow. She's busy tomorrow.
No, you guys can do that.
Oh, yeah, we'll do
just
it, yeah.
Just what? Yeah, you don't need Sherry to get the results via
Oh.
internet. You just can share them on screen. It's awesome.
Well,
I did it. I shared it with her too.
I like her to do the report though. It's
Well, that's a more full report. That's like a full, intense report. But we can make that Sherry when she comes back in a couple of weeks. We can
Okay.
give her.
all right.
If we still have listeners after tomorrow night's show and people actually want to come back and hear you guys, then we can have her do a more intense show.
It's gonna be great. I'm gonna look at the report and you'll see what it says. And she said something with my liver. I'm gonna do this whole beet cleanse right for like 2 weeks, and we're gonna come back and look at it, and it'll be great.
Okay.
Example, see how it works.
All right. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. I love.
See my question.
Beets are part of my revamping my nutritional thing because I go on to a beet and carrot juice fast for do that 2 to 3 times a week, and I add turmeric and ginger and which are both gingers, but and lemon and cayenne to that. And that's the juice that I make, and I just juice that 3 times a day for 2 or 3 days a week, and that seems to revamp my whole health. I've noticed that.
Like a roto-rooter.
Oh God.
Just like a roto-rooter.
That's it. That's
Exactly.
it. I love that imagery. It goes through my whole system, my whole limbic system and cardiovascular and everything. It's just out there.
Well, in about a month, you won't be able to recognize us, Tink and I. We're going to be new people.
Robert Vaughn describes, if you do this exact protocol that he describes, right? He says that it literally will rejuvenate you so much that he was talking about people that after 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, that they look like they had plastic surgery done. Like people accuse them of because their skin gets so much more bright, and wrinkles go away.
Hey,
It
why
reverses
are you
aging,
hiding
yeah.
this from me?
Well, we wanted you to be the old guy.
Because
because
I was
obviously
going to share it with
listen.
you, but then you tried to out me on air with Sherry, so I thought, you know what, screw this guy.
Ah,
You know
yeah.
what, Dan? Obviously, you don't listen to the Tank and Lisa show because it's on there.
Oh no! Well, I don't listen
Right?
to every one. No, because I don't
Well,
know.
Dan, that's the problem right there. You don't listen to our show.
Well,
so,
well,
we can't
well,
get
you know
the
what? You-
rewards.
you-
Not listening.
I've subscribed, but YouTube doesn't tell me that you're there.
And that's a lame excuse because we know you're there and I have to find you to listen. But if you no pay, no rewards, Dan. That's the way it goes.
I see.
I don't know if we should describe our show as paid. Listen, if you want to know what we're talking about, you got to listen to our show.
That's right. We're not sharing anything.
No, you know what? That's okay. That's another reason why we are going to sue YouTube. just for the record, I'm putting that on every single thing. I'm going to make sure to show how YouTube is violating our constitutional rights and in violation of their own community ordinances, thus breaking the contract they have set and agreed to with us.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to a lot of lawyers, in case you can't tell, so I'm fully equipped to go get these guys.
And also a great show we did last week. We talked about everybody we were suing in one show, and they were part of it. So Dan, you might want to listen to the Tink and Lisa show. It's really good info out there.
Yeah, I've heard a couple. I've heard some mixed reviews, but I'll give it another try.
You should subscribe, like, and share actually whenever you can.
No, actually, it sounds like you're talking to the cabal, is why.
All right. Well,
All right.
we're not going to share them.
It's all right. Well, I'll try and look it up, on a daily basis.
Yeah, good idea. I'll send you the link.
This poor guy, he's had to talk to me every day for like 200 plus days.
And we can't give him the free.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
I guess I'll send him the link.
Yeah, where are we at here? 216 or something? Yeah.
Wow. Who would have thought, huh?
Well, been a good night, been a good run. Everything's wonderful. World's coming together. A lot of change.
Yes.
Everybody, thanks for coming on. Lisa, thanks for setting it up. Dan, thanks for broadcasting
Sharry.
live and all that you do. Sherry, thanks for just being all around amazing. Really appreciate you coming on. And peace out from New York.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Subscribe, share.